Hello and welcome. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to create a very basic Discord bot with Discord.js and Discord Commando. With Discord Commando, it'll basically have it set up so we can run commands with no problem. We can have arguments, argument types, callbacks, and a bunch more that's already built into Commando, so it will make making a bot much more simple. So let's get into it. Hello. So before we get started writing any code, there's going to be a few things that we need to install. That's going to be Node.js, Discord.js, Commando.js, and then a text editor of your choice. I currently recommend either Visual Studio Code or Sublime Text. Either will work just fine. I have more experience with Sublime Text. I just recently swapped over to Visual Studio Code. However, they are both really good. The main thing that we want to install is Node.js. There will be a link in the description. But you want to come over here and download either 14.15.1 or 15.4. I recommend 14.15.1. I've had less issues using this version in comparison to 15. Once you're done installing Node.js, what we're going to want to do is head over to our file explorer here and create our project directory. I'm just going to be doing this basically in the root of my SSD here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder here, and I'm going to call this DanBot. Okay, so then we're going to go in here and we're going to hold down Shift, and then we're going to right click, and then we're going to either open up CMD here or open PowerShell window here. Okay, so now that we're here, assuming that you're in PowerShell, if you're in CMD, you don't have to do this, but if you're in PowerShell, just go ahead and write CMD. Okay, now that we've installed Node, we can actually reference npm now, and I'm just going to do npm init. Okay, so what this is doing is basically setting up our package.json, and it's going to ask for some information about our project. I'm just going to go ahead and do all the default information, but you can take your time and put in whatever you'd like. So just to skip through all this, I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to check to make sure that everything is correct, and I'm going to hit yes. Okay, so our package.json is set up. The next thing we want to go ahead and do is install Discord.js. Okay, so you might run into some errors here. You may not. I've currently run into errors where I get like permission problems. If you do run into that, a quick solution that seems to work without any side effects that I'm aware of is just running the command again. So I'm just going to go ahead and run npm install discord.js. Okay, and actually it worked just fine without any issues. This is good. Okay, so now that we got that set up, the next thing we want to do is go ahead and actually install Commando. So with Commando, this is basically just a tool that Discord.js recommends, or at least it looks like they recommend because it is on their guide. And what this will allow you to do is create commands with permissions, arguments, all that stuff that you would go ahead and have to do every single time you create a bot. But with this, you don't have to do that because it's already built in, and there's a really nice file system with reloading and all that good stuff. So to install, depending on the version of Discord.js that you can see here, we're just going to do npm install, and I'm going to do Discord.js/Commando. And there's probably going to be some warnings here about some prerequisites or dependencies, but I'm not going to worry about them at this time because Commando will function without these. But if you do have, as you can see, it's related to SQLite. So if there's any issues that you have related to that, most likely it's because you need one of these dependencies. This error might not happen for everyone, but it does happen for me. Okay, so we can either create our bot using the Discord.js method here, which would not basically initialize it as a Commando client, but we want to go ahead and do our Commando version here, because what this is going to do is it's going to give us a modified Discord client. So to begin, what you want to do is head over to your DanBot directory here, or your project directory. We're going to go ahead and create a new text document, and we're going to call this index.js. And then the icon will most likely change. If you don't see a changed icon, what you want to do is you're going to want to shift right click and hover over open with, and you can either choose the program that you're looking for, or you can choose another app. And you're going to want to go ahead and find either text editor, and then you want to click always use this app to open .js files so you don't have to repeat this process. And I'm just going to select Visual Studio Code. Okay, so now that this is open, I'm going to hop back in here, and I'm going to go ahead and build this lovely code here. Okay, so I've basically set up all the default code here just from copy and pasting from this guide here on Discord.js. And there's a couple things that we're going to want to go ahead and change. So you can see that we have our owner ID, which is basically like the Discord user ID of the owner who's going to be controlling this bot. And then we'll have an invite. Actually, we don't even need the invite, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. And then we have our command prefix, which is going to be what we use to call our commands. I prefer an exclamation point, so I'm going to be using them. So to get the owner ID, what we can do is open up our Discord. So now that you have Discord open, you can go ahead and easily just send a message in chat, copy ID. There's probably numerous ways to do it, but this is probably like the quickest. I'm just going to copy that and paste that in there. So now I am the owner. You can see we have registered groups here. You have an array of groups, and basically this is the title of the group and then some description with it. I'm just going to go ahead with something basic, and we'll call these like general commands. Okay, so now that I have my groups here set up, what I'm going to do is actually open up my file explorer here. I'm going to create a new folder here called commands. And then inside of our commands, we're going to go ahead and create another folder. And we're going to match the name of our commands. And I just noticed I'm using a capital G for general, but I'm going to actually change this to lowercase in the code. Okay, so I just saved the file. My formatter went ahead and just changed our structure of the file so it looks a bit more neater and nicer. And then the last final step that we're going to want to do is actually log in with our bot, because if we ran this code right now, it would not work because we need to get our token. So to get the token, what you want to do is head over to your Discord developer portal. So once you're here, you're going to go ahead and create a new application, and you're going to give it a name. This name doesn't really matter too much, I don't believe. I'm going to call it DanBot. Okay, now we have our description, app icon. This is basically, I believe, for the website that we're on here. And then for the bot, that what people see whenever they're on Discord is going to be used inside our bot panel here. So we're basically going to click add bot, and we're going to click yes, do it. However, we can't go back in time if we ever want to reverse this, but that's okay. We have our username, our icon here, then we have our token. So this is a unique token. You want to make sure that you keep this to yourself, and you don't give this out, because otherwise people will be able to run code on your bot. I'm going to hit copy, and I'm just going to paste that into there. So this is my bot here now. Go ahead and save that. Okay, so now that I got the token stored in my text editor, I want to come over here to the OAuth 2. I'm going to click hit bot. And then what we want to do is choose which permissions our bot will need. I'm just going to click administrator for simplicity purposes. Then we're going to go ahead and click copy. And then in a new tab now, we're just going to go ahead and paste this. Okay, so you can see that you're logged in with your main client here, and it's going to ask you which server you'd like to invite your bot to. And I'm going to invite it to DanBot Testing 3. Okay, and based on the permissions that you chose here, it'll ask you to verify what you want the bot to have access to. So I'm going to authorize that. Okay, so I just went ahead and authorized my bot, and now you can see DanBot has joined the party. However, the bot is offline. So to get this bot up and running now, assuming that we're still in the same directory as our bot, what we want to go ahead and do is now say node index.js. Now you can see it says logged in as DanBot, hashtag 4783. And then you can see it says playing with Commando. And I set the prefix command to exclamation point. So now if I do ping, you now see that we get a ping. So there's actually built-in commands into Commando. If you want to go ahead and create a simple command, which we'll do now, go ahead and get that set up. Okay, so to create a command, we're going to want to go into our commands folder, go into general, and then we're going to create a new file. And so we want to keep things organized. So make sure you categorize your commands and what makes sense. So this is going to be a server command, which will show us like information about the server, how many members, and like the name of the server, something simple. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open up this command. All right, so we have something empty here. I'm going to head over to the Commando guide. Okay, so on the Commando guide, you can see that we have an example of a command here. First step is to require the Discord.js commando, so we can access command. Then we're just going to go ahead and copy and paste this example command here. Okay, so this command basically just replies with a meow kitty cat. You can go ahead and use this command, keep it in there if you'd like. However, I want to change this to something a bit more useful for me. So I'm just going to give this, maybe call this server command. And then the name will be server, the group, which will be which command group this is associated with. I'm just going to call this one general because that's what we called it. For the member name, this is basically just like an alternative name for the command. I'm just going to call this server, and then a description will say prints out stats of server. Okay. Then whenever a message is sent, so with this message that was sent, we can actually reference some information that's built on top of it. I'm just going to go ahead and take a quick peek at what Discord.js has stored on the message. All right, so heading over to the Discord.js documentation now, I'm just going to go ahead and scroll to classes and find message. Okay, and so we have all these properties here. We have member, guild, and a bunch of information. basically what we want is just information on the guild. So I'm going to go here and click on guild. We can see that it's a type guild. And then on the guild itself, we have so many properties about this guild. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of this information to build our server command. Okay, so what I'm going to want to do is just get the guild name. So I'm going to do server, and then what I want to do is use a $, and then these nice old squiggly brackets, and then we'll do message. And then remember, we can index by the guild, and then we're going to index by the name of the server. So do we have name? And we do. Okay, so we can do name, and I'm just going to go ahead and save this now. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and do Control-C to stop our bot from running, and then we can go ahead and restart it. And then if we hop back into Discord, I do !server. There's one small problem. I'm using quotation marks instead of tilde. Okay, now that I fixed the quotation marks, I'm just going to go ahead and restart the bot once more. And I'm going to do !server. And now you can see the server is DanBotTesting3. Now, one thing I want to do is potentially get the member count. So is that a thing? And it is. Look at that, member count. So now what we can do is we can say members, or let's try a new line. I think this is how you can do it. Members. And then we'll do the same thing, guild.member count. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then you'll notice one thing though, if I go ahead and run server without restarting the bot, we get the same response because it hasn't been reloaded. But thankfully, due to Commando, we can actually just go ahead and do reload. And then it's going to ask which group we would like to reload. So I'm just going to go ahead and reload the general ones, which is what our server command is stored under. And so it reloaded it. And now if I do !server, you can now see that we have our server, our bot, DanBotTesting3, and the total count of members. And I'm actually just going to fix this space here, and we'll call reload general one more time. And now you can see it's formatted correctly. All right, so that should show you how to get a basic bot set up using Discord.js. In the future, we're going to be covering videos on how to make a leveling system, Captcha system, image generation, all that good stuff. So if you are interested in that, I would recommend subscribing, because that will be coming out in the near future. Also, if you have any questions related to this bot, just let me know, comment them down below, and I will answer them as quickly as I can. So that will conclude this video. Hope you guys have a wonderful day or night, and take care.